that we could say, we know we exist on the physical level. We can talk about the body being made of the 5 elements: earth, air, fire, water, and ether or sky. And we can talk about the 3 subtle elements of the subtle body: mind, intelligence, and false ego. That's the subtle body. And we know all the time that our gross body is acting, but our subtle body is also acting. So if we're in pure consciousness, or we're able to act on the basis of our faith in a pure way, then our faith will always take us to associate with the Vaishnavas and engage in devotional service. But we also hear how Mahaprabhu, when Mahaprabhu is living in Puri, during the daytime, he's engaged with the devotees, and at night, he's with Ramananda Roy and with Swarup Damodar, and he's feeling great separation from the Lord. So sometimes we're in the association of the devotees engaged in devotional service because different activities are required from us or asked of us. But then sometimes we may have not been engaged in devotional service. I remember when I lived in Argentina, the cook there, he said that during the day he was cooking for the deities, or in this case, the deities may have been pictures. But in the evening, it turned into his kitchen, and he would cook for himself. And maybe he'd make pizza, or maybe he'd make some bread or something. But he said in the nighttime, it was his kitchen. So that may be a gross exaggeration of what we are also experiencing, that sometimes we're engaged in devotional service with our body, mind, and senses to a certain extent. And then when we have some free time, then we're no longer Goswami or servant of controller of the senses and controller of our mental activities, etc. But then we become Godasa. Godasa is a servant of the senses. So if their question arises, how much faith do I have? Then I will, I remember Srila Govindamar, she said that each day we should prepare or give ourselves a report card and see how closely we follow to what is our prescribed duties and what we want to accomplish. And somehow or other, I'm thinking that I'm not doing so well in that respect, because it is like my mind. I go into my room and there's things that I want to have put away for many, many days. I want to have the room all clean and orderly, but it's not. So therefore, I think my room is like my mind, that it's piled up with discarded things and objects. And therefore, if I'm not keeping everything properly organized, then that would seem to be an indication of my inner consciousness. Now you could say, but this was not the question about your mind, intelligence, and false ego. This is not the question. The question is, how can I know if my faith is sincere or if it's adulterated. What is it? Can read the exact wording. How can we recognize if our faith is real or is our faith adulterated? Well, I have to think at least in part that something is known according to its results. I read about one bird that's, forget the name of the bird, but he finds a bird nest that has eggs in it, and then this bird puts, her egg in the bird's nest and lets another bird hatch her egg. So then the other bird hatch this unknown egg, and then when the egg hatches, she may see, oh, this little so-called birdie doesn't look anything like me or my husband. This egg has produced a foreign result, is hatched, and I don't recognize this bird. Is that possible? It seems to be. I see one here, one couple here or there. The wife is from Mexico and the husband is from Santa Cruz. So they have one child who looks very Mexican, and they have another child who looks very American. He has pink skin and red hair, and he looks very different. The two look very different. But yet they come from the same womb, the same mother. So I guess that's possible. I was thinking this bird puts her egg in a nest, and then someone else goes to the trouble of hatching the egg, and then this unknown reality of a bird comes out. And maybe that bird is much bigger than the other birds and monopolizes all the food that the mother brings. Yes, bring more. But you've taken all the food that was meant for the other little birds. Oh. Don't worry, you can bring more and I'll see that they get it. I'm the elder brother and I will protect them. Oh, maybe that happens. I think that Karuna's here and she has one.
I'm not Maharaj.
None of it. She has one son who's very big. His name is Shama.
Sham Krishna. Yeah.
Sham
Sham Krishna. Yeah.
Yeah, he's very big. And he actually does that. He protects all the smaller children. I've seen him do that. They're very noble.
Yeah, he's very good with kids. Yeah.
What?
He's very good with the kids. He takes care of them all as well.
Okay. Yeah.
How are you, Maharaj?
I'm good. How about you? Anyway, I'm
kind
anxious.
of okay. I've got a bit of a cough. I get cough in the winter time, so trying to deal with that really.
Yeah. Get some cough syrup.
Yeah, I suffer with this every winter for years now. It gets a bit worse, so I have to kind of stay in the house. Yeah.
Good to see you.
Yes,
So
Maharaj.
returning to Tunga Rasa's question about faith. How can we know if our faith is real or adulterated? Does anyone have any comment about that?
Bandava Maharaj, the bird that you're talking is the cuckoo.
The cuckoo.
Yes, that is the cuckoo bird, the one that beep, beep. But you
That's
just were
appropriate.
saying that.
That's appropriate because that's appropriate because many of my friends are cuckoo. They're all cuckoo.
In this book that I'm reading now, it's called something. It's the Parikrama book that Sri Chaitanya used to read when we will do. I was reading about Niri Singhapali, and
Nambadip Dham Mahatmya.
yes, Mukut Sala, because that the Navadvi Mahamya is a book of Navadvi Bhaktivinoda Thakur, but Acharya Dev explained that that book is written in verse, and usually it's a little bit dense for the devotees because it's a lot of poetry involved. So this one is more like in prose. So it's more like the stories and all the places like one by one. And when he reached Nrisimhapali, at the very end, he reminded something regarding the theme that you're mentioning, and he said that when you go there, you see a tree with these kavachas in the trees outside Nrisimhapali. And one day he went to see Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj, and one devotee had one kavacha of Nrisimha, and Acharya Deva was there, and the devotee Gurudev asking like, "What is that?" No, this is a kavacha from Nrisimha, blah blah blah. And then Gurudeva said, "Yeah, I see that, but what are you doing with that kavacha?" No, because it's gonna protect me and this and that. And then when he left, Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj said, this is a thing that we see all the time. When we look at our devotion, we need to check if we are looking for the Lord to serve us and to protect us, or we are looking to the Lord to serve Him and to see how much we can give to the Lord. And he really pinpoint the whole and he called it that type of devotion something like sakata bhakti, which is something like I love the Lord, but I want something in return. And he said we should try to avoid that kind of devotion, because that is not going to be the right path into a sincere path of devotion. So I just reminded that because that question, I don't know if that is any use to anyone.
Yeah, it's definitely abuse. In terms, I don't know. I try not to question my own faith, whether I try not to question my faith, but I know that there are many anarthas present in my devotion which are impeding my advancement. And I'm always trying to, at least in my mind, I'm trying to get rid of those anarthas, those unwanted things. But as much as I try, they don't go away. They stay. That's because I don't have the resolve to get rid of them. I know they're not wanted and I know they're not desirable. And I want them to go away, but I'm not exercising enough resolve to make them go away myself. And I've many times mentioned that story that Guru Maharaj says about that we are minor souls, but we are everything we have is because we're minor, we can't assume the rights of our own inheritance, which is, the service and the association of the Lord and his devotees. our, what am I saying? That would be our rightful inheritance. But because we're minor, we're too young, like a small child, then some protectors or guardians have been appointed for us. But those are the wrong kind of guardians. Those are our mind and senses and our intelligence, all under the false ego. And they're supposedly protecting us, but not really. Our mind is certainly no protector. And our false intelligence and our false ego, that none of that is helping us. But then we need the protection of Gurudev. That is the only way we can survive in this world, is if we take shelter of Gurudev, and he gives us this protection, but we can actually seriously serve Gurudev. Because many people, if you ask them, oh, who are you a disciple of? They can say proudly, oh, Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj, or Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj, or Acharya Maharaj, or Prabhupada. And I saw in one society, they put the initials of the guru who they are disciples of. And if they're the oldest standing guru, then everyone sees, oh, he's a disciple of that guru. He's a very prestigious person. But just to be the disciple of somebody doesn't mean that you're a sincere follower. You may be a disciple in name, but you may not actually be following the dictations of the guru. I remember some two boys were staying here for a little time, but they were just using, supposedly being here, but they weren't really interested in being devotees. So one day, one of them said, oh, we want to take initiation. And I said, from who? But when I said from who, they became very confused. This is a long time ago. They were very confused. They said, we want to take initiation. And that they thought that this is going to get them some privileges, that by saying they want to take initiation, now they'll be under the less examined and less able to do what they want, because people, oh, they want to take initiation. But I said to them, to who? And when I said to who, they became very confused, because they said they wanted to take initiation, but they didn't know to who. So I said, who do you want to take initiation from? And one of them said, oh, from you? And I said, wrong answer. Wrong answer. Because at that time, Gurudev was present, Srila Govinda Maharaj, and I wasn't taking any disciple, but they said, from you? And then I said, wrong answer, try again. So it's not a question of who's your guru. Of course, that's important. We all know that. But what about somebody who's a disciple of, many people to say that they're, for instance, followers of this religion or that religion, or this guru or that guru, but they don't they don't even know what their guru is teaching them. They're not very good. They're not very good followers. So then just to be the follower of some guru, that doesn't mean, you can say, yes, your guru is very great, but you are not very great. You are a follower in name of your guru, and your guru is very great. But I don't see you as being so great. I mean, I wonder how that works. So just to be the disciple of a guru that's no great accomplishment. It is in one sense, but we could say, if your guru is great, you should also be great. You should not just be. You can say you're a disciple of Gurudev, but at the same time, it's not just a question if your guru is great, you should be a great disciple. But again, that's not always a given, not always happening. So, but as I was saying, that in the case of the minor soul, then you have to take shelter of Gurudev and you have to serve Gurudev with love and devotion. And if you can do that, you don't have to, you can actually sincerely serve Gurudev with your heart and your mind and all your senses serving Gurudev, then maybe you don't have to question if your faith is real or not. But if you have too much free time on your hands, maybe everything is going to go south. Oh, there's Divya Shakti. I haven't seen you here before. And you're back in Salt Lake City. You're on silent mode. Okay, can't hear you. But anyway, I was saying, although it's very relevant if my faith is pure or is adulterated, in general, I don't like to question what is my faith. I like to think that if I can sincerely try to serve Gurudev, then maybe I won't be stuck in this abyss forever. But well, what's the Shastric explanation? We heard from Gaurachandra, he said that Acharya Maharaj, he commented that we don't want to take service from the Lord. We don't want the Lord to serve us. That is a condition of many persons. They want the Lord to be serving them. But we want to serve the Lord without any preconditions. I like that when I hear about announcements for advertisements. They say everything very positively, and then they get to the last 40 seconds or so, and then they say, they'll say something like, don't take this tonic if you're suffering from a heart attack, or if you feel weak and exhausted, and stop with this. And then they go on to giving so many preconditions where they don't have to accept responsibility. If somebody takes their product and doesn't improve and then wants to sue them, they say, don't take this product if you're suffering from this and this and this. But so many preconditions. I don't know. Always some excuse. But if I'm in the association of the Vaishnavas and I'm serving Gurudev and Gurudev is pleased with my service, I may not always be pleased with my own service. I may think that something is incredibly off with my service. I'm doing something very wrong. And I can think like that. And I don't know. And I don't know if other people are like that. I'm always a little suspicious. They say too much devotion is a sign of a thief. Have you heard that expression? Too much devotion is a sign of a thief. But I don't know. In the presence of Gurudev, I would get much satisfaction in. Gurudev was happy with my service. And I think that's very good, but many times I'm thinking that Gurudev can see right through me. So he knows my insincerity and my failings. And he talks about that in Prapana Jivanamrita. He says that, that verse about Hridaya Granthi from the Srimad Bhagavatam, the knot of false ego which is in the heart. So, and there it says, we go on patiently serving, and whatever failings we have may be due to different passions which are there. Passion is one thing, ignorance is another, but even goodness has its adulterations. Vishuddha sattva may be pure, but in sattva gun is also conditioning. One becomes conditioned by happiness and I guess some sense of mental equilibrium. But even the mode of goodness is conditioned or conditioning. So, what was I saying? I'm saying about that we have to tolerate not just passion, but also mode of ignorance, mode of goodness. So many things that we have to tolerate, but then Guru Maharaj says that, but we hate whatever is obstructing our advancement within devotional service. We hate that, but we tolerate it. We tolerate certain things. I'll do so many things wrong and I'll think many thoughts that are wrong, and then I'll go into the Chaitanya Charitamrita class, and then I'll read how the Lord will forgive even the most fallen soul. But I don't want to make my fallenness a condition for service, that I'm expecting the Lord to forgive me, and even though I'm a fallen soul. I think that actually I feel that would be cheating on my part. If I'm going to be doing something wrong, I don't necessarily expect to be forgiven for it. I mean, it's necessary. I feel it's necessary to own up. It's necessary to own up for what I'm doing wrong. I know something I'm doing wrong, and others may not see that. They may say, oh, you're such a nice little white sheep or white lamb. You're so cuddly and cute. But I know that underneath that lamb's clothing, there's a wolf there, and that wolf is devouring my heart or something. I don't know. So I'm a little suspicious, but if Gurudev is happy with me, then I think at least I'm doing something right. And Gurudev was happy with me. So others think I'm doing okay, but I'm not thinking I'm doing okay. But in general, okay, I can understand that I've got many anarthas, I'm doing many things wrong, but I don't go out of the way so much to question my own faith. Somebody can say, oh, you're supposed to do that. You're supposed to question your own faith. But I'm thinking that's all I have. I don't have anything else. I only have my faith, and that's all I have. Shraddhamoy, everything is based on faith. I need that. I need to have that faith, even if the faith is a little crooked, because I'm a crooked practitioner. But still, I don't want to question that faith. Anyway, what can I do? And the question again is saying, well, how can we recognize if our faith is real or is our faith adulterated? But I don't know. The question's coming. I mean, Tunga Rasa, and sometimes we hear that the Vaishnavas, they ask questions for the benefit of other souls, for the benefits of other Vaishnavas. Even they know the answer to the questions. They know the answer to the questions, but for the sake of other conditioned souls, they still make those questions because they want the authoritative acharya to answer and give some understanding of those conditions. So then, okay, for the sake of others, how can we know if our faith is real or not? Oh. In the Bhagavatam, there is description of, no, and actually it's in the Bhagavad Gita, it's description of different kinds of faith. The faith in the mode of goodness, faith in the mode of passion, faith in the mode of ignorance. I know there's some description there. But again, those faiths are still they're in the, one sense we can say, in the material plane. Even if the mode of goodness, there's some faith in there. And they'll say, this is the signs of faith in the mode of goodness. But that goodness is, anyway, I'm not so much thinking about the mode of goodness. Thank goodness. Thank goodness I'm not thinking about the mode of goodness. So what can Tunga Rasa get from my answer? Well, practically nothing. Nothing from that answer. But she's still asking, how can I know if my faith is real? How can I know if it's real or not? What does she say? How can I know? Where is that? How can we recognize if our faith is real or is our faith adulterated? I guess if your faith is adulterated, maybe you'll get some sores. If your faith is adulterated, maybe you'll get some sores on you. Maybe some sores on your subtle body. Like boils on your mind. Boils on your mind. Adulterated. Does anyone else ask this question? Whether their faith is adulterated? Do you ask that question? Jai Lalita. Suvasini, do you ask the question if your faith is adulterated?
No, Maharaj, I haven't really thought about like that.
I know Tunga Rasa, I don't think her faith is adulterated at all. She seems like a nice devotee to me.
Yes.
I don't really so much ask if my faith is adulterated because I have faith in my faith. Huh? And although I may have little buying power, still I'll use whatever buying power I have. What they say, cut your coat according to your cloth. So maybe I don't have so much cloth, But still, maybe I can get some kind of coat from that cloth. Maybe the tailor will not be able to take my cloth and make a silk garment from it. But maybe the tailor can, I'll cut my coat according to my cloth, and I'll be able to get at least something to keep warm in the winter. It's now getting cold there in England, isn't it? Ireland, is it cold?
Yes, Maharaj, little cold, but the last few days have been good. Yeah. Yes.
Couple devotees went to Ireland, but you will not have seen them. That Kalachand, Kalachand and Shatrugna or Shugi. They're both sons of Sanatani.
Yes, I heard that, Maharaj. Last Sunday, we met Sita, and Sita was going to go and meet them on Sunday evening, this Sunday evening. So,
you haven't
yes.
have you heard from her now?
Yeah, actually, we met her on Sunday morning. You know, she left some few things. We went to drop those things to her, and we had lunch. And she was going to go and meet them that evening. She said they'll come. So,
Okay. That was one of them is Kalachand. He's one of the sons of Sanatani, and he just had his 40th birthday. So his younger brother, Shatrugna, who everyone calls Shugi, they both flew to Ireland, and they're meeting in Ireland. Anyway, what was I saying? And what was I saying about
the faith, Maharaj.
Yeah, I know about the faith.
Maharaj, is it also like, you know, the faith sometimes, you know, it is not so strong, you know, they say Komala Shraddha, right? It's just very tender. And then, you know, some people have like a strong faith. Some gradation is there, isn't it, Maharaj? So, you know, sometimes the faith can be very easily disturbed for some people. You know, they have faith and something, you know, disturbed, but some people, they have like a very strong faith. So this is I used to think in that line, you know, normally, you know,
Yeah, some people they think that if God is so great, why there's so many problems in this world? And then but I don't think like that, because I think like I'm not blaming God for my foibles. Or I guess that's the pronunciation, foibles. What I do wrong, why should I blame God for? If I do wrong, then Govinda Maharaj said, if I eat fire, I must pass ashes. So if I do something wrong, why I will be surprised that some reaction will come to me. But at the same time, why should I blame God for what I'm doing wrong? And then they say, well, you don't blame God for what you're doing wrong, but you're blaming God for anything wrong in this world. I'm doing so much wrong, and I don't want to blame God for the results of my stupidity, for what I do wrong. Then why should I blame God for the results of everybody else's foolishness? They don't follow God. He gives them some good instructions, and they don't care to follow him. And why should I blame God for, it's the son of a good man may turn out to be, a rotten child or a rotten Although I've seen many of the sons of devotees, they seem terrible for a few years, and then later they seem very good to me. I guess it can also be the opposite, but I don't really see where my, I don't know. I don't feel like I want to put any responsibility on the Lord for my own lack of conviction. But on the other hand, as I said, cutting my coat according to my cloth, it's what I have to work with. And I hope to be able to accomplish something, even though sometimes I think, oh, this is very good. But then I remember Srila Prabhupada, he spoke or wrote one article. He says, when the time you leave this world, you have to fly your own plane. Then all the good instructions you've got from Gurudev and the scriptures, that will be good, but you still have to fly your own plane. So, I mean, we see Haridas Thakur when the Muslim government said to him, they said, well, you know, why you are taking life of a Hindu? You're acting like a Hindu. You're chanting Hindu names and you're following Hindu religion. Why are you doing that? And Haridas Thakur had a little bit of a comical answer. He said, well, you're converting so many Hindus to become Muslims by the sword. You're threatening them. If you don't convert, we'll kill you. All right. I'm very happy to become Abdul. I'm very happy to become Abdul Mo, some Muslim. I'm very happy to become Abdul. Either the sword or either you stay Hindu and we'll kill you, or you become a Muslim. Oh, I'm very happy. Give me a nice Muslim name. So Haridas Thakur said, by the sword, you're converting many Hindus into become Muslims, or they're starving and you'll give them some bread or some rice. And then they became rice Christians, right? Not to be confused with Rice Krispies. Rice Christians, they become. So they became forcibly converted. But Haridas Thakur said, you're converting many, many thousands of Hindus to become Muslims. And that became later a problem in India. Many of those people forcibly converted. They became Muslims, and the Hindu society wouldn't let them back into their society. They said, no, now you're outcast. You're Muslim and you cannot be a Hindu again. They would not allow them to return to Hinduism. They said, but what? That's what they told to Subudhi Rai. How can I become a Hindu? Oh, it's very easy. Just drink one liter of boiling ghee. Then you'll be okay. But obviously that meant die, and in your next life you could be a Hindu. But he didn't like that answer very much. And probably, so people were ostracized by force. And then Haridas Thakur said, you're converting by the sword many Hindus into Muslims, many thousands. So if one Muslim becomes a Hindu, what's the problem? What's the loss to you? I mean, 1 out of a million Hindus become Muslims by your forcing them. And if one Muslim becomes a Hindu, why should that bother you? It's just one. But they didn't like that answer very much. I think it's called apostate. If somebody's a Muslim, they become a Hindu, that's very serious offense anyway. So they said, all right, this Haridas Thakur, he's answering like that. So what is the solution? They said, well, we'll spread him equally, beat him to death, beat him in 21 different marketplaces. And so they beat him in 21 different marketplaces. And then he saw that his jailkeeper, the people beating him, they were crying. And he said, what's the matter? And they said, well, because we keep beating you and beating you and beating you. Nobody could live through this, but you're still alive. And that means we've failed to beat you to death. So now they'll beat us to death. So Haridas Thakur said, oh, I'm causing you so much trouble. Then I'll die. And then he died. And then he brought the apparent dead body. They brought his body to the Muslim king. And the Muslim king said, oh, they said, look, he died. And the Muslim king said, yes. Then he doesn't even, he was so guilty of betraying Islam. So then don't even give him a proper burial. Take him to the Ganga and throw him in the Ganga like they did, as if he were some Hindu. Just throw him in the Ganga, not even give him a burial. So they took him to the Ganga and threw Haridas Thakur in the Ganga. And then when he's in the Ganga, after he floated downstream a little, he revived. He became revived and he swam to the shore and he continued. But yet his answer apparently irritated them, Muslims. Well, so many thousands of Hindus are converted to become Muslims by force. So if one Muslim becomes a Hindu, what's the big deal? Why you are so upset by that? They didn't like that answer. So there you see that strong faith of Haridas Thakur. He can be beaten in so many marketplaces, and he can be questioned, like why you have become a Hindu. He knew, he could have answered, perhaps philosophically, but he just knew it would be a waste of time. So he just said, oh, why should it bother you? If only one Hindu becomes a Muslim, when you're converting many thousands of Hindus and Muslims, and if one Muslim becomes a Hindu, why should that bother you? That's the kind of faith he had. He knew that a severe beating is going to follow. They're going to kill him. But he has that much faith in who he is and what he's doing in Mahaprabhu, and cannot be deterred. I don't know how many of us would be able to answer with that kind of conviction that, oh, you believe in what you're doing, then let us see how much you believe, because we're going to, punish you beyond your endurance. And then somebody could become, no, I'll change. And it's not, that happens all the time. There's always some consequence. But I have learned over the years to just like filter out all the unwanted noise. But then again, as I said, Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktivedanta Swami, says at the time of death, you're going to have to fly your own plane. Means you've got good instructions from Gurudev, scriptures, the mercy of the Vaishnavas. Now, there's going to have to come a time when you'll have to act upon that, maybe leaving this world. And Govinda Maharaj said, he one time described in vivid detail what it means for when the jiva soul leaves this material body, and what kind of forces of nature and mental and physical and just all these things, like a torment going on, and like being awash in a tornado or a storm at sea, how severe it is. And he described that as narrated to him by a jiva soul who has left this body, and described some of the forces of nature that one will go through. And then when they asked him, who told you this? And he said, actually, it was a daughter. He had one of his daughters, he said, communicated this to with him. Like how much adversity she had to go through when she left this mundane body that we have, or that maybe since she's a daughter of Govinda Maharaj, I won't call her body mundane, but when you leave this body, how much will you go through? And Prabhupada was talking about that. You have to fly your own plane. So I don't know, maybe at that time my plane will crash, fiery crash, burn. But I think, I remember Ramai, if somebody called on the phone, he'd say, Bhakti Abbas speaking, Bhakti Abbas, and what other names did he have? Bhakti Abbas, and he had, Divya Shakti. Do you remember some of Ramai's other names? Bhakti Abbas and what? Then there's Prakrit, Bhakta Prai, I think he said. Bhakta Prai was another name. And sometimes he would say Hagen Das. Hagen Das, an ice cream maker, but he jokingly answered the phone, Bhakta Boss. A imitation of a devotee, Bhakta Prai, and he answered like that. But when it came time, when we took his ashes to the ocean, went on a boat that scattered his ashes in the ocean near Santa Cruz, 2 whales followed the boat. And very happily, they followed the boat, and then we threw his ashes out. And the man who rented the boat to us said he had not seen that before. That we were taking Ramai's ashes out to sea, and whales were accompanying him. I thought it was a fitting tribute to a Vaishnava. But he himself called himself Bhakta Prai, Bhakta Bas. I'm an imitation of a devotee, but I didn't see it that way. So, and then I was reading about Haridas Thakur, how Haridas Thakur, he left, let's see, when Haridas Thakur was, I'm trying to remember, it was, when he wanted to leave this world, he's described as being like Bhishma Dev, who could leave the world by his own desire at the time he wanted. And then Mahaprabhu went there with all the devotees, and they were there when Haridas was leaving. And although Haridas his whole life had chanted, 3 lakhs of names, like the Maha Mantra, chanting it on like 192 rounds every day. You wouldn't even have time to breathe or eat or anything, but he's chanting 192 rounds a day. But at the time of his leaving this world, he didn't chant that name. He chanted Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. And he begged permission from Mahaprabhu he said, I think soon the concluding chapter will be with you, you will leave, and I don't want to be here to see that. So I want to leave before that will happen. I want to take your lotus, like, I want to take your lotus-like feet on my head or on my heart and chant your holy name. And that way I'll give up my life. I don't want to be there when you leave. So I actually saw that happen with Srila Govinda Maharaj. And now I can understand more of that. Siddhanti Maharaj, he called Govinda Maharaj and he was going to leave this world, but he took permission from Govinda Maharaj. And that was in the month of February. He called and told Govinda Maharaj that he was leaving. And Govinda Maharaj told Siddhanti Maharaj, he said, Maharaj, we are all getting our karma fall. We are all getting our karma fall. So I now see that Govinda Maharaj was saying, yes, you are leaving this world and you are talking to me, but I am also leaving this world because Govinda Maharaj left the world 1 month later. Siddhanti Maharaj left in February and Govinda Maharaj left towards the end of March. But Govinda Maharaj said, Maharaj, we're all getting our karma fall. But at the time I was thinking, well, Govinda Maharaj and even Siddhanti Maharaj, what karma fall they have. But I believe that saying, well, we're in this world, we have this body, we're all going to leave sooner or later. So you could say that's our karma fall. Maharaj, we're all getting our karma fall. You're leaving this world and soon I will leave this world. That's the way I see it. But Haridas Thakur took permission from Srila Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He took permission. And he said, I don't want to see the final chapter of, I think soon you will leave this world and I don't want to be there at that time. I don't want to see that. I want to go before you. And Mahaprabhu came with all his devotees to bless Haridas Thakur. And then after Haridas Thakur left, and the Bengali word, what is the Bengali word used? That's translated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that says, Mahaprabhu danced with Haridas Thakur's body on his lap. But I believe that translation is not the correct translation. I believe the translation is, what is the word? It's called, what's the word? Does anyone remember what the Bengali word for lap is that's given there? But I believe the translation is that Mahaprabhu danced with the body of Haridas Thakur in his arms, sustaining Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu sustaining Haridas Thakur's body and dancing with it. Then they put the body on a Biman and took it to the ocean, and the body was bathed, and then Mahaprabhu also playing with the devotees in the ocean. And then they came back and did the necessary, put the body of Haridas Thakur in Samadhi. And at that time, it says, from this day on, this ocean will be a great place of pilgrimage. And I believe, since all the oceans are interconnected, you don't have to take somebody's ashes to put in the Ganga. If you can do that, maybe nice, but you don't have to do that. If you take the ashes and put them into the ocean, that will be very nice. And we have to take the ashes of the devotees. Before I knew that, I took my father's ashes to the Ganga and put them in the Ganga. But I'm thinking if ashes are placed in the ocean, that's very nice. And when my mother passed away and wanted to put her ashes in the ocean, and my sister said, but Mom hated the ocean. She didn't like to go to the ocean. I said, what's that got to do with her ashes? Let's just put her at, no, she didn't like the ocean. Okay. So I had to wait years to take her ashes to a stream and put them in the stream, but at least, okay. Something. That was something, an answer somebody asked about. Can you say something about Haridas Thakur? And what will you say about Bhakti Vinod Thakur? What will you say about Bhakti Vinod Thakur? And what is what is it? Guru. I wanted to see the verse from Guru Maharaj. He says, from Sharanagati, from the first chapter, I think it is, Gurudam, Grantadam, no, Gurudam, Grantadam. Oh, I want to, if you give me one, well, we're at the end of our time, but I should be able to look up that verse from the
Gauradamadam Muda.
Gurudam,
Grantadam.
what? Gurudam, Grantadam.
Gauradamadam.
Oh, Gauradamadam, yes.
Yeah.
Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given us everything. He's given us, well, first it says, Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave us Gurudam. So we are talking Bhagavan Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And Guru Maharaj says that Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave us that great Bhagavan, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So although Bhaktivinoda Thakur is so great, he's given us everything. But he also gave us Guru. And then he gave us Gaurada, what is it? How's the expression?
Grantadam. Grantadam.
Grantadam, and then Gauradamadam. He also gave us Mahaprabhu's appearance place. He discovered he showed where Mahaprabhu's appearance place is, and he took also with him the Jagannath Das Babaji, and confirmed where after searching the scriptures. And Grantadam, he's given us so many wonderful scriptures, but not just the scriptures, his songbooks like Kalyana Kalpataru and Sharanagati, and so many collections of songs and scriptures that everything is like so divine that he has given us divine scriptures. Grantadam, Gauradamadam, he's given us Mahaprabhu's divine appearance place. He's given us Namadam, he's given us the holy name, the Shuddha Nam. He's given us Bhaktidam. He's given us what is pure bhakti. Well, so we said, and Buddhidam, the most munificent, kind, wonderful Vaishnava, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He gave he is the real person who gave what is pure devotion to us after, just as I said before, so many people can say that they follow this guru, but they're not really followers of that guru. So not just as a question of people say proudly, here's my guru. Okay, he's your guru, but we know what kind of guru he is, but what kind of disciple are you? That's the question. But so many people said that they were real followers of Mahaprabhu, but they weren't. They were Sahajiyas, and they were, what's the word? They were Sahajiyas, and they were impersonalists. What's the word for an impersonalist? Sahajiyas, we know. What word can we give for an impersonalist?
Mayavadis.
Oh, Mayavadi, yeah, Mayavadi is good. So Mayavadis and Sahajiyas, and yet they said that they are followers of Mahaprabhu. And they gave all of India was given so many wrong interpretations of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita means song of God, but they didn't make it a song of God anymore. And I remember Prabhupada who made he made Bhagavad Gita as it is, very emphatic there. But he said what Dr. Radhakrishna said, that Kurukshetra refers to the body. And then he gives an interpretation on how it's a parable, how it's an allegory. But then Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, he said, no, Kurukshetra exists. It's a place that exists, and the battle of Kurukshetra existed, and it was between the Pandavas and the Gurus, and don't try to make it an interpretation. Don't interpret it according to your own ulterior purpose. So that many people, they interpret Bhagavad Gita, which is song of God, a song between the Lord and his devotee, Arjuna, but now it's become something mythical with a completely wrong interpretation. So anyway, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he changed all that, but he didn't do it alone. He prayed for a ray of Vishnu, as it was, and that ray appeared as his son, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So have I mentioned everything? I'm not remembering that whole verse, but I quoted that verse when we talked about Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Gurudam, Grantadam, Goradamadam, Namadam, Bhaktidam. Have I mentioned all the contributions that are mentioned in that verse? Is there another? Anyway.
I think that's it, Maharaj. Bhaktidam, Buridam, and Bhakti. Yeah, Buridam.
And Bodhi, what is the meaning of Bodhi?
Abundantly.
Generously.
Yes.
Up to, Guru Maharaj says, up to Radha Dasham, he gave us everything. All the way up to Radha Dasham. And Guru Maharaj got the mercy of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur when he wrote Bhakti Vinod Varaha Dashakam. Read those before Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And according to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the worship of Guru, he considered Gorkishore Das Babaji, all right, that is his Guru, but he considered that by the worship of Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he was worshiping Srimati Radharani herself. By the worship of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. And he mentioned, what is it? He mentioned that he's worshiping Gadadhar Pandit. There in Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he's seeing also, I guess it's Gadadhar Pandit. He identified with so much, Bhakti Vinod Thakur identified so much with Gadadhar Pandit that he left this world on the day of Gadadhar Pandit's disappearance. So he's seeing all the way up Ashtanayika, the divine hero, and Srimati Radharani, and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur saw Bhakti Vinod Thakur as being as his worship is that of Srimati Radharani. Anyway, I'm now going into you are going to take dinner. It is 10 after 8 there, and maybe, have you taken dinner, Suvasini?
No, Maharaj, not yet. No,
It's 9 o'clock there, huh?
no, it's 8, 7 past 8, actually. Same time as UK, yeah.
Okay. All right, so all of you and lunchtime in Utah for Divya Shakti, lunchtime in Utah. And dinner time there in the UK. And just earlier today, Maheshwari, she left to return to Hungary. She left this morning. And I saw some picture of Vishaka. Vishaka looked healthy. So, I mean, she looked good in the picture. Maybe, I don't know if she's healthy yet, but she was in Mauritius. She's in Mauritius. Why does Mauritius is nice. Oh, but she was ill there. Now she looks better. And I'm happy to see her looking better. So that's my own personal feeling. I went to see my brother and sister up in Ashland, but I didn't get to see Kumkum because she wasn't feeling well. She didn't want to see anyone, but also pray for her well-being. So good to see all of you. Good to see you, Karuna Sundari. It's good to see you.
Yes, Maharaj.
And I'll see all of you next week. Is it? All right. My Dandavat.
Dandavat pranams, Maharaj. Dandavat to all the devotees.
Dandavat,
Dandavat,
Dandavat, Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Maharaj.
for
Very
your
nice.
consideration.
Dandavat.
Very happy to listen.
Dandavat.
Dandavat, Maharaj.
Dandavat.
Dandavat.
Dandavat, Maharaj.
Dandavat, Maharaj. Dandavat to all the devotees.